There's a house design taking over rural America right now, and almost nobody is talking about it. It's not a tiny house. It's not a log cabin. It's a single slope roof farmhouse. One clean line, one open floor plan, 0 stairs. And retirees who build one are telling us the same thing. I wish I'd done this 10 years earlier. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly why this design is quietly becoming the smartest retirement move in America, what it actually costs in 2026, real numbers, not fantasy numbers, and the one mistake that ruins almost every retirement build. Stick around for that last part, because it's the difference between loving your last house and regretting it. Before we get into it, if you're even thinking about retirement housing, hit subscribe now. I break down real numbers, real designs, and real mistakes every week, no fluff. Okay, let's get into it. Section 1. The problem nobody wants to admit. Here's an uncomfortable truth about retirement in 2026. Most people are stuck. Federal Reserve data released this year shows something wild. Single-family home ownership rates for people 65 to 79 have actually gone up 11 percentage points since 1980. For people 80 and older, it's up 16 points. We are not moving out of our big houses. We're staying in them, alone, in rooms we don't use. A California real estate agent put it bluntly in a recent industry report. We romanticize aging in place, but sometimes it's just isolation, with a mortgage paid off. Picture someone living in 2 rooms of a 4-bedroom house, too worn out to host Thanksgiving anymore because getting the guest rooms ready is exhausting. And here's the part that surprises people. Downsizing doesn't even save money like it used to. Realtor data from this year shows over half of existing mortgages are still under 4%. Sell that house, buy something smaller, and you're trading a locked-in low rate for a brand new loan at today's rates, plus new HOA fees, new insurance, new property taxes. Research this year also found sellers over 65 walk away with about $20,000 less than younger sellers on the same sale. So retirees are trapped between 2 bad options: stay in a house that's too big and too much work, or downsize into something that costs more than it saves. There's a third option, and it's the one nobody's marketing to you. Section 2. What a single-slope retirement farmhouse actually is. A single-slope roof, sometimes called a monopitch or shed roof, is exactly what it sounds like. One roof plane, tilted from a tall wall down to a short wall. No valleys, no dormers, no complicated angles for water and snow to get trapped in. Pair that roofline with a modern farmhouse look, board and batten siding, black windows, a deep covered porch, and you get a home that looks like it belongs on 100 acres, but functions like it was engineered by someone who actually thought about getting older. That's the real story here. This isn't just an aesthetic trend. Architects working in this style will tell you the slope does real work. Rain and snow shed fast off a single clean plane instead of pooling in valleys. The high wall lets in a wall of natural light and lets you run open-plan living underneath a soaring ceiling. And the low wall keeps the structure tucked low and efficient, exactly where you need less volume, usually over the bedrooms. But here's what actually matters for retirement. This roof shape practically forces a single-story footprint. No stairs to lose your balance on, no hauling laundry up and down, no unused second floor collecting dust and property tax. Everything, bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, laundry, lives on one level, under one roof, in one efficient rectangle. That single detail is worth pausing on because it connects directly to a number I'm about to show you that most retirement guides completely ignore. Section 3. The aging in place data. 93% of adults over 55 say staying independent in their own home is a top priority for them, according to a U.S. News survey released this year. Not moving to assisted living, not moving in with the kids, staying put, on their own terms. But most existing homes weren't built for that. A 2026 remodeling industry survey found 76% of contractors have seen rising demand for aging-in-place renovations over the past 5 years. Walk-in tubs running $2,000 to $5,000, stair lifts costing anywhere from $2,000 to $14,000, grab bars, wider doorways, zero-threshold showers. The average aging-in-place remodel now costs about $9,500, and that's just for the basics. Here's the thing. A single-story, single-slope farmhouse side steps, almost all of that cost before you ever move in. No stairs means no stair lift, ever. Wide-open floor plans under that tall, sloped ceiling make wheelchair and walker clearance a non-issue instead of a retrofit. Wide barn-style sliding doors instead of swinging doors are already part of the aesthetic, and they're also exactly what an occupational therapist would recommend for accessibility. You're not bolting accessibility onto a house after the fact. You're building it in from the first sketch, and it doesn't cost you anything extra to do it, because the design already wants to be that way. And there's a bigger supply problem backing this up. Industry data projects the U.S. will be short 550,000 senior housing units by 2030, and meeting that gap would take roughly $275 billion in new investment the industry isn't currently on pace to spend. Translation: waiting for the perfect senior living community to have an opening is not a plan. Building your own accessible home now, on your terms, increasingly is. Section 4. What it actually costs. In 2026. Real numbers. Let's talk money, because this is where most videos on this topic completely fall apart. I'm not going to give you a fantasy number. Here's what building one of these actually costs right now, based on 2026 national construction data. Most people building this style are working with a Barndominium adjacent build, steel frame or post frame structure, open interior, single slope roofline, farmhouse exterior finishes. Nationally, a finished build runs $65 to $160 per square foot, with the national average landing around $230,000 total. Break that down by size, because size is everything here. A modest 1,200 square foot version, plenty for 1 or 2 people, 2 bedrooms, no wasted space, runs roughly $112,800 to $144,000 finished. Step up to something more comfortable, say 2,000 square feet with a guest room for grandkids, and you're looking at $130,000 to $320,000, national average right around $230,000. Go bigger, 4,000 plus square feet with a workshop or attached garage space, and you're in $400,000 to $500,000 plus territory. A few things that move that number a lot. Kit-only shells, just the steel frame and exterior, run $20 to $50 per square foot, but that's just the shell. No insulation, no plumbing, no finished interior. That's the number contractors quote that makes people think this is cheaper than it is. The interior finish is what actually drives your total cost. It typically makes up 75% of the entire budget. The steel shell is only about a quarter of what you'll spend. 2 people can build the identical footprint, and one spends $120,000, while the other spends $360,000, purely based on flooring, cabinets, and fixtures. And don't forget land prep. Site clearing, driveway, utility hookups, and septic can add tens of thousands of dollars before the structure even goes up. Some rural lots need up to $75,000 in site development alone. Compared to a traditional stick-built house of the same size, you're typically looking at 15 to 25% in savings, mostly because the open floor plan and steel frame reduce interior framing and labor costs. Not the 50% some marketing claims, but real, meaningful savings. Section 5. The downsizing trap. Now, before I show you the layout that actually works, I need to tell you about the one mistake that has ruined this exact build for more retirees than any cost overrun ever has. It's not about money. It's about something almost nobody thinks to ask before they sign the contract. Keep watching. I promise this one's worth it. Here's a stat that should stop you in your tracks. NAR data from this year found that among buyers aged 61 to 70 who sold a 2,000 square foot home, they bought another one the exact same size. People aged 71 to 79 only trimmed about 100 square feet, less space than a single compact parking spot. Everyone says they're downsizing. The data says almost nobody actually does. Why? Because most downsizing options on the market are apartments and condos that feel like a step down, not a step forward. Nobody wants to trade a home with a porch and a yard for a shoebox with HOA fees. This is exactly why the single-slope farmhouse model is resonating right now. It's not actually about square footage, it's about waste. A retiree moving from a 2,800 square foot two-story with 3 empty bedrooms into a 1,600 square foot single-level, single-slope home isn't losing space. They're losing the parts of the house they never used anyway: the stairs, the unused formal dining room, the guest wing collecting dust. What they keep is everything that actually matters: a real kitchen, a covered porch, 1 or 2 flexible rooms, and land around them. That's the mistake I mentioned. Retirees who downsize into something that feels smaller, cramped, generic, no land, no porch, regret it within 2 years. Retirees who move into something efficient instead of small almost never do. The single-slope farmhouse design threads that needle because it looks and feels expansive. Tall ceilings, big windows, wide-open living, while actually being far easier to maintain and heat than the house you're leaving. Section 6. The layout that actually works. If you're planning one of these, here's what the best-performing retirement layouts have in common in 2026. 1 continuous roofline, 1 continuous floor. No stepped additions, no split levels. Every square foot of the footprint should sit under that same slope. Primary bedroom and full bath on the tall wall side. That's where you get the highest ceilings and best light. And it's also structurally where you have the most room for a curbless shower and a genuinely spacious bathroom, not a retrofitted one. A single great room instead of separate living and dining rooms. This isn't just a style choice. Fewer walls means fewer doorways to navigate with a walker or wheelchair down the road, even if you don't need one today. A mudroom or utility entry at grade, 0 steps. This is the detail almost every retirement-focused architect flags as the one people forget. A single step at the front door defeats half the purpose of building single-story in the first place. Covered porch running the length of the low wall. Beyond the curb appeal, it's shade. It's a place to sit without needing to go anywhere, and on a single-story home, it visually and functionally extends your living space without adding heated square footage, and therefore without adding much cost. Wide hallways and 36-inch doorways throughout, even in rooms you don't think you'll need it in yet. It costs almost nothing extra during framing, and it's the single biggest expense to add later. Section 7. The honest downsides. I'm not going to sell you a fantasy, so let's talk about what doesn't get mentioned enough. Resale value is narrower than a conventional home. This style appreciates roughly 2 to 3% annually, compared to about 4% for standard homes, and it performs best in barndo-friendly regions like Texas, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. In a market that favors traditional colonial or ranch homes, your buyer pool shrinks. Financing can be trickier. Some lenders still treat barn-style and post-frame construction differently than conventional stick-built homes, so shop your lender before you shop your builder. Rural land means rural distance, from hospitals, from family, from the grocery store. The land that makes this design affordable is often the same land that puts you 25 minutes from the nearest urgent care. If mobility or health is already a concern, that trade-off needs to be part of the conversation on day 1, not something you discover in year 3. And zoning still varies wildly by county. Some counties love this style. Others have setback rules, minimum square footage requirements, or HOA restrictions that make a single-slope farmhouse impossible to build as designed. Always check before you fall in love with a plan. So, is the single-slope retirement farmhouse the perfect retirement home? Not for everyone. If you need to be 5 minutes from a hospital, or your family needs you in the suburbs, this probably isn't your build. But if you've been staring at a too-big house, doing the math on downsizing, and realizing it doesn't actually save you anything, and dreaming about land, light, and a porch to sit on, this design solves problems most retirement housing doesn't even acknowledge exists. 1 level, 1 roofline, built-in accessibility that doesn't look like accessibility, and real 2026 numbers that, for the right size and finish level, actually pencil out. If this helped you think through your own retirement plans, subscribe. I'm covering the exact floor plans, real builder costs by region, and the permitting mistakes people make next. And tell me in the comments, would you actually build one of these, or is this one step too far off the grid for you? I read every single comment, so let's talk about it down there. See you in the next one.